We'll start this morning with some big breaking news.
Tensions between Russia and NATO have reached an alarming new height after reports emerged that Russian forces launched a large-scale drone assault targeting NATO defensive installations in Eastern Europe. According to multiple security sources, dozens of drones were deployed overnight in what analysts are calling the most direct and aggressive confrontation between Moscow and the Western alliance since the start of the Ukraine war. The coordinated assault reportedly struck several radar and air defense sites across Poland, Romania, and Lithuania, though the full extent of the damage remains unclear. Preliminary assessments from NATO intelligence suggest the attack was a calculated test of the alliance's air defense readiness, rather than a full-scale escalation. However, the fact that Russian drones penetrated NATO-monitored airspace has sparked urgent emergency meetings in Brussels. The alliance has confirmed that interceptors were deployed and that most of the drones were shot down before reaching critical infrastructure, but fragments reportedly landed in several civilian areas, causing panic and localized power disruptions. The Russian Ministry of Defense has yet to officially claim responsibility, but sources close to the Kremlin described the operation as a strategic response to NATO's growing military presence along Russia's borders. For months, Moscow has accused the alliance of provocative militarization, citing recent NATO drills in the Baltic region and the deployment of additional air defense systems near Kaliningrad. The drone strike, analysts say, appears to be a signal that Russia is ready to push back against what it perceives as encirclement by Western forces. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg condemned the attack as a reckless and dangerous provocation, warning that any deliberate targeting of alliance territory would have severe consequences. Emergency consultations under Article 4 of the NATO treaty were reportedly initiated early Wednesday morning, allowing member states to assess the threat and coordinate a collective response. While Stoltenberg stopped short of confirming an Article 5 invocation which would trigger mutual defense obligations, he emphasized that NATO will take all necessary steps to defend every inch of Allied territory. Military analysts have drawn parallels between this incident and previous Russian hybrid operations, combining drones, cyber attacks, and disinformation to destabilize adversaries without declaring open war. In the past week alone, several European nations reported disruptions in GPS systems and unexplained communication blackouts near military installations. Experts believe these could be part of a broader campaign to test NATO's readiness and sow confusion. The latest attack, involving dozens of drones flying at low altitude, may have been intended to exploit gaps in radar coverage and expose weaknesses in NATO's integrated air defense network. In Washington, the Pentagon confirmed it was monitoring the situation closely and had increased surveillance flights along NATO's eastern flank. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin called the attack a grave escalation and pledged full support for European allies. The White House, meanwhile, convened an emergency National Security Council meeting to discuss potential diplomatic and military responses. President Biden is expected to address the situation in a televised statement, amid mounting pressure from lawmakers urging a firmer stance against Russia. European leaders reacted with outrage and concern. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk described the attack as an act of aggression that cannot go unanswered, while Romania's president warned that any further violation of NATO sovereignty will meet a united and decisive response. Germany and France also issued joint statements reaffirming their commitment to collective defense and calling for new sanctions against Moscow. The European Union is reportedly preparing to impose fresh economic and technological restrictions targeting Russia's drone manufacturing industry, which has expanded rapidly with assistance from Iranian technology transfers. On the ground, NATO forces have been placed on high alert, with air patrols intensified over the Baltic and Black Sea regions. Several airports in Eastern Europe temporarily suspended operations as precautionary measures. Civilian eyewitnesses reported hearing explosions and seeing flashes in the sky during the early hours of the attack, describing the scene as terrifying and unreal. Local authorities in affected areas have urged residents to remain calm and follow emergency instructions. The incident underscores how quickly the conflict between Russia and the West could spiral into a direct confrontation. For months, diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions have faltered, as both sides continue to bolster their military postures. NATO's upcoming summit will now likely be dominated by discussions about strengthening integrated air defenses and expanding drone countermeasures. While Moscow's motives remain subject to interpretation, one thing is clear: the rules of engagement between Russia and NATO are being rewritten in real time. As the world watches this dangerous standoff unfold, fears of a miscalculation or accidental escalation are growing. The drone attack, whether symbolic or strategic, has shattered any remaining illusion of stability on Europe's eastern frontier, pushing the continent closer than ever to the brink of a new era of confrontation.